What is the worst mistake of your life? Switched from beer to vodka. Spent the next 12 years drunk, 3 years sober. Ditto. Moved from occasional high-percent beers to whiskey. Flushed 10 years of my life away until 2 years ago. Hey, I went on that hike, too. Same, trails look easy at first. I got tired and set up camp, though. Wow, that's a really poignant metaphor. I don't drink, but that really got me. Working my A off getting 3 useless degrees. I fell into the trap of believing that high grades and multiple degrees equals good, stable, high-paying jobs. Lamau. Looking back, I can't believe I was so naive. What decade did you go to high school? I ask because I was just having a similar conversation about this. I went to high school in the mid to late 90s, and, at least at the 3 high schools I attended, the message was loud and clear: this is all to prepare you for college. If you don't go to college, you failed. No comments about going directly into the workforce. At that time, there were labor jobs in my area that paid livable wages. No comments about trade schools. No comments about military. Not even comments about community college. Just go to a university, get a degree, get a high-paying job, and that's the way to have a nice life. I went a lot more recently, early 2010s, and it was the same story. All the kids who were meant to succeed went straight to university. Of course, I wanted to be one of them, so I got into a good university, at least one with a good reputation. Graduated near the top of my class. It didn't matter in the end, and I'm still having a hard time swallowing this pill. I worked in a supermarket while I was an HS with no less than a chemist and economist. Mathematic to lawyers, it was so blatantly obvious that university after HS was just a pipeline for kids to have maximum cash extracted from them for a long time. So I happily never attended despite being accepted and just worked instead. I'm now in uni 10 years later, but for a degree that I love and has high earning potential for most graduates. I get really sad when people attend uni courses that one they don't love too. Clearly won't pay off in the long term. What a waste of time, and especially money. I'm really sorry this happened to you. That is why it is so annoying to me when people assume that folks who work in retail service do it because they don't have education or stupid or something. I work in retail for ages, and 90% people I worked with have degrees. Some have master degrees. I actually am a loser who didn't finish uni. Moved to UK and had to learn language while working in service, study, etc. So I am still in retail, but on my way out, I hope. I have many, but the worst could be isolating myself from the real world to the point I started to experience symptoms of psychosis. Maladaptive daydreaming. I do that to sometimes, not to the point that I am psychotic, but still. I just Googled this term and I totally do it. I can't control the daydream, it just comes about. And they are sometimes really toxic and unhealthy thoughts. But they are just thoughts and no different in that respect from any other thought. A problem arises when they begin to crowd out other healthier thoughts. The same can be said about blowing rainbows out your A. You really have to keep your eyes on the road. There's been some discussion about how this seemed to arise and increase during and after the pandemic. I think this is very likely. There's definitely an uptick in open hostilities in a lot of public places. So much animosity and suspicion, division and downright dislike. WHY. Trusting a supervisor and believing that people at my job will do the right thing. Hang on. I think I can cheer you up. I've done way worse. Get ready. I trusted HR and believed that they had my best interests in mind. Long ago, I worked at an electronics retailer, and one of the managers mentioned about going to HR if you had troubles, and I said I disagree. HR will fire to get rid of your problem. They're here to protect the company. He said wrong, and poked fun at me for even saying it. A year later, he had to go to HR for something that should have gotten his boss fired, but guess what? He got fired. He texted me after and said you were right along about HR. I felt so bad for him. He was actually a cool dude. I was brought in front of HR to testify on a conflict between two dudes on an adjacent team that I work with at times. I gave a complete honest rundown of what exactly happened. HR guy kept asking suggestive questions like, "Are you sure it's not B who pushed the issue? Or could it be that B was simply joking around?" It was clear as day as to who HR was trying to protect. That's my moment of never to trust HR. I had to fire someone this year. Was also preparing to fire a second boss, wanted M gone. Dumped it on me. Not only is HR worthless for employees, they're worthless when you want to actually fire someone, deserved or not. I had to prepare a ton of documentation, host weekly meetings proving that the guy wasn't doing his job well enough based on very loose criteria that could be interpreted in countless ways. Anytime I thought the SH show was over and we could finally cut the guy loose, I was mad because we were torturing the guy by dragging it out. They'd say, "Well, we need more evidence of blah," and they'd keep me rolling with this guy. They were pricks to me, pricks to the guy getting fired, uncooperative with the senior management, and entirely unhelpful. HR can eat a dick straight up. Worthless all the way. In the end, it was legal that did most of the actual work to process the guy's term. I still don't know what HR really does all day. Getting married, or marrying the wrong person would be more accurate, I guess. And by to OOB, we got married in 2001 and just divorced in April. But I left her for the last time in 2015 after getting solid proof that she had been cheating. She now has 4 kids by 4 different guys. 3 of them born while we were together and just 1 is mine. Tip of this depressing iceberg. Unfortunately, make sure to get McDonald's for all the kids to avoid some drama. Truly though, I'm sorry you experienced that. Oh God, I'd forgotten that post. That was so much drama. Alright, I have to ask. You got a link. Not putting money away for savings early enough. Start early. Make it automatic. Edit. Investor. Gov has a lot of great tools, but the point is to get used to setting aside savings automatic like automatic paycheck withdrawals into a retirement account. Also, if your employer has any sort of retirement plan matching, match it 100%. It's free money. Compound interest over time can be an incredible snowball effect, giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars in free money, but it needs time. Going from 20 years to 40 years. You don't just get 2x extra free money. You get over 10x more. 10x. Same. Luckily, I'm not in the red anymore, but starting basically from scratch late hurts. Not paying off my mortgage 17 years ago when I had the money. Instead, I used it to renovate my house to add 2 bedrooms and a den. At the time, I thought it was more important for each of my 4 kids to have their own room they were sharing to each before then, and a bigger family room. I'm kicking myself because had I used the money to pay off the mortgage instead, I'd have had an extra $3,000 a month in my pocket. I could have saved up that money and extended my house a few years later. On the flip side, those renovation sadians would be multiple times more expensive now than they were back then. Currently getting a bathroom remodeled via subsidiary of Home Depot at Lowe's. My bathroom isn't even that big. They quoted me at $26,000 for a remodel. Apparently 10 years ago it would have been probably half that price. We opted to just get a new tub shower instead of doing the whole thing. Edit. Did my kitchen through HD as well for right around $15,000. My sister renovated her bathroom for $40,000 and that was one of the lower quotes. They went as high as $70,000 for a bathroom. Trying to help people that didn't deserve it. There you need to ask yourself if you were doing it for them or for yourself. I've helped plenty of people who didn't deserve it and feel regret for none of it, depending on their circumstances. It can be both. I've helped people who definitely didn't deserve it and both felt it was a mistake. And others, not so much a mistake. I tried. Just turns out they are tie. The biggest mistake of trying to help someone out who turned out to not deserve it was someone who needed a place to stay and help with the necessities. They relatively quickly owed me about $1,000, not including rent. Having got them a job and the basic tools needed, they turned around and robbed my house and disappeared. Yeah, helping them was a effing mistake. On the other hand, the person whose car I fixed only for them to run it into a pole and get a DUI. Yeah, they didn't deserve it. But wasn't a mistake? Yeah, I let someone stay with me 'cause she was living out of her car. One day I came home and she had sold my consoles to GameStop and skipped town. I had just gotten the Switch a few months earlier and couldn't afford a new one. I never charged her rent or anything. Just asked her to help clean up and maybe buy some food once in a while. Just blows my mind that someone could do that to another person who helped them in their time of need. Being mean to my wife and son when I was younger. We got married at 18 and I was just immature and was always taking my job home and just getting upset over really nothing. We're still married after 32 years and over past several years I have came to realize how lucky I have them in my life and will do anything for them. My ex-wife has apologized over and over for that. It's water under the bridge. We are great friends and can joke about it. Not buying a house when I was 8. I'll never recover from this. Did you waste your lemonade income on blow? Those balloons won't inflate themselves. Letting my mother have complete control of my finances when I got my first job. She stole everything from me. Wow. How old were you? Which time? Which time, darn? Not knowing that my wife and I are both carriers for a rare terminal genetic disease called Crab disease. Both of my daughters are fine, but my son has the disease and started developing symptoms at 18 months old. Now our entire lives are completely flipped upside down. We want to spread awareness that we didn't have. His page is called Prayers for Arthur. Hope for a cure. He's such a sweet boy. We just want to keep him as comfortable as possible. Thank you for all of the nice and encouraging comments. I am so sorry. Putting absolutely everything I had into getting a degree and subsequently a job in a field I could honestly not care less about. Now I'm rotting in a job that I can't stand because I will never make this much money ever again. But without the high-paying job, my field is not lucrative. Oh, neither is mine. I make Experience leads to qualification. Try looking at applying for other jobs with similar sets as a letting a shy-controlling girlfriend convince me to quit my band. I don't think we would have made it big or anything, but they were my best friends and she treated me like garbage. I was trapped in emotional and manipulation from age 18 to 20. The ultimatum between her and the band could have saved me all that misery if I had just made a wiser choice. Is there any way you could explain it to your friends and tell them you miss them? They might understand. The band breakup was really ugly, but we all made peace eventually. We even had a partial reunion with the few members that were available, but it fizzled out due to work schedules and driving distance. But it was still fun to jam with them again. They really missed me. I got married a few years back, and almost all of them were able to make it to our wedding. Hey, that's amazing, not the ugly breakup part, the rest. I'm glad it didn't end like that, and I hope your current partner treats you 1,000,000 times better than your ex. choosing the wrong major in university, and now I'm stuck in my career. Without knowing anything about your major, age, or current situation, I will say you may not be stuck and dislike the career you are in. I'm in my early 30s and am in the process of my second career change. My major in school is completely unrelated, and I didn't do much in that field outside of an internship the first 6 months or so out of college before realizing it had super low odds of actually panning out how I thought it would. So I started working a retail tech job for a while, which led me into corporate IT. And now I'm working on switching into a totally different area of tech, which my previous job experience doesn't really help at all with. I think it's silly, honestly, that we choose our paths at such an early age. I didn't know about how to choose a wise career or how anything would pan out down the road. Back then, my hobbies and interests have changed tons of times since making my decision of a college major at 17-18 years old. I also have several friends who do something completely unrelated to their major and have good careers. Now I know there's some fields that require a specific degree, medical, law, etc. But from my personal experience as well as that of many friends, many companies don't care what your degree is in, or sometimes even if you have one at all. I don't even list my major on my resume, just the degree. In my interview for my first corporate IT job, it didn't even come up in the conversation, depending on what other careers might be of interest to you. There's so much that can be learned online now via courses, certs, or for free that in a lot of cases you may not even need a specific degree. It also matters less and less as you get older, as work experience becomes more important than your degree, even if it's not related. Versus right out of college, all you really have is a degree to help you land a job. A friend of mine is in a senior role at a tech company and has interviewed tons of people over the years, and he says very few of the people with degrees in the specific field were even good candidates. Most of the good ones got into the field on their own later. Not sure if this helps at all, but figured I'd share. Not saying 3 words when they would have made all the difference. Edit. Posted below in spot to another comment asking for more info. I grew up with a girl. She was my best friend throughout all of school and the only one to stand up for me against bullies. We were close and I eventually developed some very strong feelings for her. But having zero self-confidence, I kept my mouth shut, thinking that I'd been friendzoned. As we moved through school, we were split up and put into different classes. We tried to keep up but eventually drifted apart. This was pre-social media and mobile phones. And eventually our lives took different paths. We bumped into each other now and then, but she was always involved with someone at the time, so we kept things pleasant and went our ways. We both got on with our lives, moved on, and soon settled down, starting families of our own. Fast forwards a decade or two and we end up applying for the same job. So now we work closely together. It was like 25 years hadn't happened and we went straight back to being best friends. She confessed to having unresolved feelings for me too, and that she never made a move because she also thought she'd been friendzoned. Had either of us said something, the course of our lives could have been very different. For now, we've talked it through and agreed on boundaries. Lines that can never be crossed. Still effing hurts though. No onions, please. My mom died. I got over $80,000 in life insurance money after paying for her funeral and paying off debt. I bought a new car and looked at some houses but never got offers accepted. I wasted the rest of the money mostly on W and alcohol just trying to feel better. Now I'm broke, but I'm 28 days clean and trying to pull myself out of my funk and live better. I'm 2 months into a new job and plan on seeking help when I get health insurance again. I'm also considering finding a new job with higher pay. Mine too, cancer at 53. Grief is a tough bee. I'm glad you're fighting back. Took me a couple years. What kind of car? I'm sorry, she was 62, combination of an infection and stroke from what we were told. She was in a vegetative state for a month. I bought a 2021 RAV4. At least it's a practical car. I like it. Great on gas. Sorry to hear. I'm glad to hear it's not a Charger. RAV4 is solid.